Hi, I'm Andy. Welcome back to Python Puzzles. We're going to cover the switch statement or the match statement in Python. Python only got this in version 3.10, which is fairly recent. Most other languages have had it for a lot longer. It's basically an alternative to writing a long series of if-else statements. I would say once you've got more than 4 if-else statements chained together, you should consider using a switch. I think the way the compiler works is if you have like 5 or 6 if statements and you compile it, compared to if you have a switch with 5 or 6 cases, the switch statement will take less processing power to complete that logic than the if statement. So the if statement's more efficient if there's like 1, 2 or 3 of them. The switch statement's more efficient at like more than 5 cases. Anyway, we're going to cover it. It's just something to keep in your toolbox, and if you ever see you're chaining together more than 4 if statements, you might want to consider using this switch. Let's take a look. Let's get puzzling. We can start by going to the repository, the link's in the description, clicking the code drop-down menu button and copying the HTTPS URL. Using GitHub Desktop, File, Clone Repository, go to the URL tab, paste that in there, check your local paths where you want to save it. I'm using the Git Repos folder. Click Clone, let it download the code. And then if I go into my repository, there's all the code. So using PyCharm, I can just go to File and Open. Go into the folder where I saved it and open up the project at the folder level. This way it'll be easier just to use the virtual environment stuff. And we'll get the pop-up menu if I click OK. There we go, it's opened up. Get the Creating Virtual Environment pop-up. Yeah, I'll put the virtual environment in a venv folder. I'll use Python 3.12 and I'll download everything in the requirements.txt file. Yep. It's just doing its thing in the bottom right hand corner here. I'll let it complete. Okay, so we're using this virtual environment here. Everything's all set up. Okay. So I can see right at the start we're using a module called Colorama and we're importing some functions from it. That should have been installed from the requirements.txt, so that should be in this virtual environment that we're using. So we shouldn't have to do anything for that. Let's take a look at these examples. If we go to the very bottom of the file, I have example A, example B and example C active. What I'll do is I'll just comment out example B and example C so we can just run example A. I'll run them one at a time. So switch statements, the first example, it must want an extra line there. PyCharm likes double lines between each function or it gives little squiggly lines. Makes it nice and readable. So example A, question, have you ever farted in the elevator? Let's be truthful guys, we all have. Enter Y for yes or N for no. We're sort of escaping the quotes there. Well, so it can, we can have them in quotes. We all have farted in the elevator, are we? Hopefully there's no one else in the elevator. Hopefully the elevator's not packed. But anyway, so once you enter yes because you've been truthful, we've got like a null check. If you hit enter after input, you're probably going to get like a blank space. But we also want to check that it's not none that's been instantiated. Just want to get in the habit of doing this, although I don't think this will actually ever run in this code. It's too simple. So once we've checked that it's not empty, they've not just hit enter, we then want to convert everything to lowercase because we want to do all our comparisons in lowercase. We don't want to have to check if they've got capital letters at the start, at the end, or in the middle of the words. So that's how we do it. Now we can use this Colorama module to set the colour of the console. Rather than it just being, white text and a black background, we can use this module to set it using these commands. So once you've imported Colorama, you can use things like background style. That's probably too much of a hint for you, as I just realised that was there. I've left it in. So using string interpolation, the F, we can insert variables into the strings. So Colorama has these commands where to set the background colour red, you would use that command. You probably could set it blue like that. So it's got a series of colours you can set it, and then to reset it back to a black background and white text, use this reset all from the style function inside Colorama. So this is generally what it looks like. You set the colour at the start, you reset it at the end. Fart victim. So you have to enter a number of fart victims in the elevator that you've just farted in, and we want to make sure that input is being converted from a string into a number, an integer, so a whole number. So if you enter a floating point like I farted and 1.7 people, it will break. So Python got this switch statement fairly recently in its language, version 3.10. We're in version 3.12. I think this was only a couple of years ago, maybe 2021, 2022. Before that, people just used if statements. A lot of other languages like C#, we have the same puzzles, but in C#, and they've had the switch statement forever. They've had it forever. So if you want to go check out my other channel, C# puzzles, where you can do these puzzles but in C#. Python, this is a fairly new thing. And the reason I like switch statements is each one of these is essentially an if clause. So if, I'll use this as an example first. So if fart victim number equals 1, do this. If fart victim number equals 2, do this, and so on. This is the default case. So if you enter anything that's not covered by these cases, this will run. So this is like your catch-all case, okay? This is like the else case in a standard if statement. Now you can also do more complicated logic in the switch statements in Python. You kind of have to do a complicated statement like this, like case x if. So this is just saying for x, if x is less than 0, do this. So if someone typed in -1, this would run. So that's just a little bit wordy. If you're in C#, it would literally just be that in C#. But every language, it seems, has a switch statement, or almost every language. So they're very popular. You'd want to use these switch statements if you're using a lot of if statements. If you've got a piece of logic that's got 3 or more, maybe 4 if statements, you really should be thinking about turning it into a switch, because it's just easier to read. It's more structured, it's nicer looking. So anyway, I've showed you how to do the sort of greater than equal to logic, how to match specific numbers and the default case. And we've wrapped the whole thing in various checks, okay? So puzzle A, I'm just going to have you basically do your own switch statement, but for days of the week. So you're going to have to do switch statements for every day, Monday to Sunday. And when the user chooses a day, you tell them what exercise to do that day. So Monday, 20 sit-ups, Tuesday, 15 jumping jacks. But I also want you to change the colour of the text, not the background colour, the colour of the text itself. So that's how you do background colour. I've already given you a bit of a clue at the start how you might do the actual text. Give it a Google. You can sort of read the Colorama documentation. Just copy that, paste that in there. So this is like a library of all the various modules that you can download using pip in Python. So we can see Colorama version 0.46. It's going to get some documentation there for you to read. So this is quite a good resource to find various Python modules. We could also look at its GitHub repo. So this is more if people want to build it themselves or contribute to the code. But you can see it's got its documentation here, similar documentation. So you can look through here and you can see what you want to have, see maybe how to change the text to color around the background. Just some interesting resources for you there. Remember to convert the user's input to lowercase and have a default case. Okay, let's run puzzle A. Have you ever farted in an elevator? Yes, I have, and I'm proud of it. Warning, this is really important. How many people were in the elevator? We'll try case one. Whoever that person was, disappointed in you. So we can see the colour here. It's quite bright. Warning, this is really important. So background colour red. Warning, this is really important. And then this reset all has allowed everything to go back to normal. Now let's run that again. Let's try the default case. So you can see we've got case 1, 2, 3. We matched case 1 the last time. Let's try 4. It should be caught by this default case. Oh, sorry, I didn't type in yes first. Sorry, yes I have, and 4 people. 4, so it did that correctly. All right, puzzle 1. Puzzle A, sorry. I'll go down the bottom. Comment out example A, and let's take a look at example B. Example B. So there's another way of doing this, sort of the old-fashioned way, is using Unicode or ANSI colors. I believe these are all ANSI colors, but Unicode is what I would call it. Unicode includes all of the ANSI colors within it, so you might want to Google ANSI colors. But that is the ANSI code for red, that is the ANSI code for blue. And you can see here, I've just got an if statement, similar thing as above, but it's an if statement. And I've kind of just used string interpolation with the if here to just insert the variables, the code into the string. That would be the same as doing this. But if you were to, you'd be like, what is that? What? If you even knew that was a color, you'd be like, what color is that? So that's why I like to save them as a variable, then input a variable. That way we can all see that's red. Okay, so if statement, choose a color, and it's just going to tell me which one we chose. For the puzzle, I want you to convert this into an into a switch statement. Okay, and I want you to use the colors cyan, yellow, and magenta. So you'll need to find the ANSI colors. The reset will be the same, obviously, but you'll need to find the ANSI colors for red, blue, and green. And remember to reset everything at the end so you can have the white text and the black background. Now, in the if statements in Python, they have this OR that we've covered before. It's not going to be the same as that in the switch statement. The switch statement doesn't have an OR. Okay, clue, it is not an OR. You need to find out what that is. So you need to start researching switch statements in Python. And you should also not need the null check for the switch, as the default should catch it. So in this previous example, this probably would have caught blank space or none, so we don't really need it. I'm just kind of showing you different kind of code things you might do. So you shouldn't really need the null wrapping check, just use the default case. Let's run that. Choose a color. I'll type in red. Chose red. Let's run that again. I'll just type in R. You chose red. If I type in blah, sorry, no matching color. Okay, so that would be your default. Okay, continue on to example C, puzzle C. So I'm giving you like a maths problem. I'm trying to bring maths back into the puzzles. So I've just made up a silly little sum here. 2 what 5 equals what. So if you enter an operator, it'll complete the sum. If you enter plus, it'll be 2 plus 5, it'll be 7. If you enter minus, 2 minus 5, it'll be negative 3. So I've just got a switch statement here, or match, and it's just covering the plus and the minus in the default case. I want you in the puzzle to add in multiplication and division to this, so a multiplication case and a division case. And remember, division can be done two ways. You can have the whole number and the remainder. So 5 divided by 2 would be 2, remainder 1, because you can have 2 twice, 4, and there'll be 1 remainder. Or it could be 2.5 if it's a floating point number. So you can do it either way. You can do it both ways. I'll show you both. And then that should be it. So have a go at that, have fun, and just remember, you don't really need to learn how to type these things off by heart. You need to start learning when should I use an if statement, when should I use a switch statement, because all the languages have them. Well, Python's had it now for 2 years, but most of the languages have had it for a lot longer. But most of the concepts you'll be learning in this course are applicable to lots of other languages. So you need to not really think, how do I type in that code, but rather start thinking about coding patterns and about things the language might have, like switch statements. So you think, I've been using 4 if statements, maybe I should use a switch. Or how do you do a switch in JavaScript? How do you do a switch in C#? How do you do a switch in Java? You know, you can look up the code. It's knowing what it's there, what it's used for, and when to use it. Okay, actually I should demonstrate that at the end before I let you go. So I'll put in the plus, 2 plus 5, 2 plus 5 equals 7. Put in the minus, 2 minus 5 equals 3. Okay guys, go have fun. Try and solve them. The answers are available in the solution branch of the GitHub repository. You can just go into the solution branch and have a look at main.py, and you can see all the answers are there. Alright, let's take a look at example A. So what I'll do is, puzzle A in fact, what I'll do is I'll comment out everything except puzzle A, because I've taken you through the examples already. Okay, so puzzle A. Workout of the day. Write a program that provides a fitness exercise for the user to do, depending on what day of the week it is. Ask the user for the weekday. So we're going to use a switch statement to print out an exercise. It's going to be different every day. And we're going to make the text colour for every day different. It's going to be the actual text, not the background. So Monday is going to say 20 sit-ups in red. Tuesday is going to say 15 jumping jacks in blue. We'll be using Colorama to do this. Yep, it's installed. Convert it to lowercase, the input, yep. So we can check everything have a default. Okay, this should be fairly straightforward. First of all, we'll get the user input. And we've got this question here, so I'll just copy and paste. And we can do like a null. We can just copy the null check from up here, in fact. Yeah, okay. I love copying and pasting, but you have to be careful that you're copying and pasting something that's relevant and it's not going to lead to a mistake. Okay, so we can just get started with a switch statement or match. So let's convert it to lowercase using lower. And then we can have each of our cases in here. So we can have case Monday. And then we can just have a print statement and have the F there for string interpolation. And how did the Coralama stuff go? So back red. Well, this style reset all, that'll be the same, right? At the very end of it. And then what did we want to say? So we'll say 20 sit-ups for Monday. But how do I turn this into red text? So I've kind of given you a clue. It was back red to start off with, but I've also imported 4. So that was the clue. So it would be 4.red and red in capitals. And all the documentation, it's red in capitals. If you do lowercase, it won't work. It has to be capitals. Yeah, okay, so I can just basically copy that and sort of paste it 6 other times. And then I can just choose the days of the week, right? So we can do Tuesday. What did we want for Tuesday? 15 jumping jacks. They're harder than they look, jumping jacks. Oh. And we wanted that to be blue. And then Wednesday. You can make up different exercises here, guys. If you just wanted to play about with the program, you could even just use these examples, these puzzles, as a start for your own program. Just see what else you can make it do. An awful lot of it's just trying to give you inspiration. Just something to keep you coming back and keep on coding, because you don't want to just be stuck doing the same stuff all the time. So green, probably green. Make Thursday yellow. Friday. So now we have to start thinking for ourselves. What should we do on Friday? 15-minute jog. I think sounds okay. Or a fast walk, maybe, if you want. Saturday. Now I have weights in my home. I have like one little weights rack. So I can do barbell curls. Don't know if you can. You need to have your own weights, so you need to go to the gym, but I can. I bought it during COVID. I've actually kept using it, which is pretty good. And Sunday, let's just do the 15-minute jog again. I'm sick and tired of thinking of things to do. Now, other colours, I'll try cyan for Friday. That's sort of like a light blue. Magenta. So if we look at our documentation, we can see what colours are available. It's there already. So if we look down, we can see red, green, yellow, blue, magenta, cyan. We don't really want to use white, it's white by default. So an awful lot of there's other things you can use other than Colorama that have more colours. I think the advantage for this program is you can use it in any computer. It can be used in Linux, Windows, Mac. But the downside is a limited amount of colours. I think so there's kind of, we can make it dim, I suppose. I don't really want to make it dim. That's really the colours we've used so far. But they have got these things. light red, but they said it might not be supported everywhere. But I think we'll just give it a try. It's only a little puzzle we're doing. So we can just try light red or something for Sunday. And they've got this X down there because it's experimental. But yeah, it does work. I have tested it. And we've also got to do the catch-all case. So bear crawls, basically you just go down on all fours and you crawl across you know, maybe 5 meters or so as like a monkey, like you're pretending to be a dog, but your sort of toes are on the ground, your hands are on the ground, and you've got to walk about like a little chimpanzee back and forward 20 times. It's actually really hard. We do it in my local gym. So that, if you don't enter the right day, that's what's going to happen to you. Let's run that. That looks okay to me anyway. What day is it? Monday. Let's check the code for Monday. So it should be red. Red. Let's run it again. What day is it? Wednesday. Green. I want to see what the light red looks like. So Sunday. We'll do Sunday. So it looks more like a crimson than a red. Yeah. And then the catch-all, so let's just type in blah, 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 blah. 20 bear crawls. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, that's working. It's a good job. So if we go down to the bottom, I'll comment out puzzle A, and let's do puzzle B. Rewrite the above example program. Okay, so we've got Unicode ANSI colors. And we'll have to rewrite this if statement into a switch statement, and we'll have to use cyan, yellow, and magenta. Be careful with the ORs because it's not going to be the same. We don't need a null check. Okay, well, if ever there was a time to copy and paste, it's now. So cyan, yellow, magenta. Cyan or magenta. So it said we wouldn't need the null check, the if statement. So let's get rid of that, the wrapping if statement. And now, as a keyboard shortcut, with that highlighted, I can press Shift and Tab and it moves all back a space for me. So just so you know, Shift plus Tab, okay, to move everything back in line. You could have also just deleted everything and pasted it in again on the same line, but I thought I'd show you the commands. So we have to kind of turn this into a switch statement. Okay, so match user input, we'll make it lowercase. And then we'll have case, it was cyan instead of red, wasn't it? Well, and then what you can do is you can use the pipe command as the OR. It's one single pipe. And then we'll do C. And then we'll have a print statement. Okay, so I think this is all I really need from this. I'll get rid of that. Get rid of everything, don't need anything else. But we need this to be cyan. And we need it to be yellow. And we need it to be magenta. But we need to change these codes now. So how do you find them? Well, I've got another document open on a different screen here, so I'm going to cheat and I'm just going to tell you the answers. So that's cyan. That's yellow. And this is magenta. Reset will be the same, so we can just have cyan in there. Now I'm going to show you how I got these. If we just open up Google, we can type in, now you want to kind of type in your language first, because if you're doing the C# version of the course later on, you'll see C#'s got like a U and a slash at the front of it to tell everyone that it's C# code. So we'll type in Python ANSI color cyan. That'll probably give us the answer. It's not really giving us what we want. You could, Stack Overflow is a really good place to look. You could type in Unicode colors. You can find it, whatever. It's kind of giving you, look through them. I think someone's got like a list somewhere. Probably what might be easier is if you use like Copilot. So we can use an AI here. We can say, using Python, what is the ANSI color of cyan? Let's see if it gives me the right answer. I don't know if I should put an ANSI or Unicode. I think it is ANSI. Yeah, okay, so it's kind of giving me it in a sentence. So I believe that is correct. Yeah. Oh, they've kind of got this thing in here, haven't they, that they didn't need. But yeah, so you can see it's basically the same. I've just got rid of, I think this is like some kind of range command or something. You obviously don't need to type in the 0. You can have other things in there. So that may be how you find it. I just wanted to show you a couple of different ways we could find these. Anyway, let's get back to the puzzle. And it just also shows you how not good AI is. Like AI it's very good at telling you what kind of day of the week it is, but when you're into coding, it can give you a right answer, but maybe not the answer you're looking for. So what we wanted a few of them in the default case, right? So it was yellow. Magenta, and I can just copy and paste this in here now. Magenta. Change the text. And the catch-all, the default statement. Sorry, no matching color. Now, I kind of want to just highlight that I've done it this way because it's kind of the way they had it up here. It was red, then R, blue, then B, green, then G. So if you did the opposite here, it would still work. But if this was a actual piece of work that your senior developer's giving you, they're not going to like this because it just stands out. They want everything to look the same. So whatever existing code they've done it, if they're using the full word first and then the letter, that's the way you do it. Okay, so it looks correct. It looks nice and symmetrical. It looks nice and clean, nice and readable. So things like that can get changed in code review, like it's working, it's correct, but that's not the way they want it to be. So, you have to do a little bit of refactoring. So I think that really should be everything we need here. I can just run this and we can see, enter a color. Cyan, we chose cyan. Does it work if we choose C? Yep. Magenta. Enter. Yep, does it work if we hit M? Yep, and let's just try a default case, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, no matching color. Okay, so that works. That would be a solution. The codes don't have to match exactly, guys, like I showed you from Copilot there. They give me slightly different codes. As long as it displays these colours, you're fine. Let's take a look at puzzle C. So comment out puzzle B. Let's get puzzle C working. Alright, so just basically continue the above program, but get user input to do the sum. So we're going to get a user number, we're going to get the user to choose an operator, we're going to have multiplication and division available, and then we're going to have them choose a second number. Okay, so we can basically copy almost all of this. And we can just add or multiplication, so star, and I'm just using backslash here to say, hey, these quotes are not the end of the string, I just want to actually display the quote character. And then division. Okay, and we probably just want something, another print statement. Well, no. We just want like number 1 as an input. So we'll get an input, but we'll convert it. We'll cast it to int. So enter a number. And then we just do the same thing with num2. I hope I'm showing you that coding's it's basically like going through the jungle with a machete. You're just hacking your way through the code till you get something that works. I think an awful lot of the other beginner YouTube videos that I watched back in my day, it was very much you just watched them type in the right answer, you know, line by line, and you used to think, how do they know this? How do they know this? They don't. They're just reading off another screen. But I like to sort of hack it together for you. So we just need to extend these cases. So the multiplication case, well, didn't like that. Must have clicked in the wrong line. Multiplication times, and we'll call it multiply answer. Okay, now you see the 2s and the 5s, these are all hard-coded. We need num1 and num2, don't we? So lots of copying and pasting. With all the 2s as the num1s. I also have to put brackets around it here. Just copy and paste again. And num2 as well. Okay, so that's multiplication. Then we have to do division. And like I mentioned, there's sort of 2 ways to do division. There's we have a fraction, like 5 divided by 2 equals 2.5, or we have a whole number, 5 divided by 2 equals 2, remainder 1. So a whole number and a remainder. It's called the quotient, if I can say it properly. Okay, so we should probably change that to the correct operator there. So we'll call this just divide answer. Okay, so that'll give us like a floating point. But we could also do the remainder. So divide quotient, which is num1, and then it's / num2. So that'll give us the whole number. And to get the remainder, you do num1 percentage num2. And then if we copy this, we can just put that in a sentence. Remainder, and then we'll just display the remainder. Okay, and then we've got a catch-all case. We just add in or, star, or, divide. Now I've hit Control, sorry, I'll type this out. Control plus F on PyCharm, and it's popped this thing up here where you can search for things. So while I was copying and pasting everything here, I could have potentially just typed in 2 and then hit this arrow and replaced it with, you know, num1. But the trouble with that is, look at all the places here, you can see it in the right hand bar that 2's been highlighted. It would have replaced them all with num1, which even parts of the code. So you have to be really careful with copy and replace, that you're actually going to replace the same thing. I mean, you could have maybe done, you know, like go for the start, go for the quote then too. But you know, that would have hit some things, but you're not 100% that that's going to only affect your code. If you were going to do that, what I would do was I would copy this and I would paste it into Notepad and I would do it there, so it's only this code that's getting affected. You do not want to use replace in a file. Not only that, but once you've got other files, you can actually configure that to replace everything in a whole bunch of files, which would be an absolute nightmare. Especially if you think you've done it right, but you know, in some other file somewhere it's also changed it. So don't do that. If you're ever going to have to do that, copy this, paste it into Notepad and do it there, then paste it back. Okay, so I think that's it. I think if I hit run, enter a number 2, we'll do multiplication, and a second number 5. 2 times 5 equals 10. We'll do it again. 5 divided by 2. And here we've got it as a float, and here we've got a whole number and a remainder. So if we test the default case, enter a number 5, and for this, we'll just type in g. Enter a second number 5, and there we go. So we maybe would want this displayed immediately after this, but obviously it's running in sequence. So it's not checking the user input. In fact, we should probably call this operator input, just so we know what it is, because technically they're all user inputs. So it's getting the operator input, and then it's getting number 2, and then it's changing it. So, but you can't really do this without getting number 2, because they're all required in there. So you could add an additional check under here. You could add an if statement under here, or whatever. You could just add another switch. There's plenty of things to do. This isn't how I would usually set things out. I would usually have everything in their own little functions, but I'm just trying to teach you switch statement. I'm just trying to get you to play about with it. So now you know a switch statement, you know when to use it. When you've got more than 3 or 4 nested ifs, you maybe want to use a switch statement. You know it's in a whole bunch of other languages. Yeah, so I think you've learned quite a bit. I think we've played about with it. I'll see you later. Congratulations guys on completing another puzzle. As always, the same puzzles available on my C# puzzles channel. but in C#, so great way to learn a second language. Also, I have a new website, codingjobsimulator.com, where I have premium puzzles. So every puzzle we've done so far has a premium video. If you want to throw me a couple of dollars and help support the channel, go right ahead. Now, with the switch statement, I just want to go over again how we're supposed to use this. 90% of the time, 95% of the time, you'll be using if-else statements. That's fine. So if you see a long if-else statement and it's all really tied into the one variable, for example, days of the week, like, if variable day equals Monday, do this. If day equals Tuesday, do this. Day equals Wednesday, do this. That's just begging for a switch statement. That's seven if-elses tied to the same variable. So that's really when you'd want to use it. It's more efficient for doing code like that. So the CPU will be able to run it faster than using if-else. This is really important that you start thinking in these terms, guys. Because when you start writing thousands of lines of code, if you've chosen the right logic to make every little module as efficient as it can be, you end up with a good, efficient piece of program. If you don't, it becomes inefficient. A really good example of this is computer games. I've seen computer games that are very well optimized, run very quickly and download very quickly. And then you see other computer programs that are the same sort of graphics engine and everything, but the download's 3 times as big and it's slow and it's cumbersome. And they've obviously just been bolting stuff in there to make it run. They don't really care about every little part optimized. So in learning the code, it's maybe good to know that in some cases switch statements are just more efficiently run than if-else statements. But 90% of the time you're going to be using if-else. Okay? Thanks for doing the code there, guys. On to our next puzzle.